Yeah, my name is Martin Drummond, and I had a complaint filed against me, and I've lost the case number. I mean, I have got it, but I can't find it. And I know it was assigned to one of the detectives in homicide and burglary, because I heard that when they transferred me, and I think his name was like something like Merkel or something. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, hold on. License Public Safety, how can I help you?
Yeah, my name is Martin Drummond, and I had a complaint filed against me, and I had the case number, and I've misplaced it somewhere, and I just can't look for it any longer. I've looked for it all morning, so I don't know what it is, and I know that it was like for homicide and burglary, those detectives, and I think the name was something like Merkel or something like that.
Okay, so you need to talk to the detective?
Yeah.
Okay. Your last name was Drummond?
Yeah.
D-R-U-M-M-O-N-D?
Yeah, and if I can't talk to him, I need to talk to somebody who can tell me what to do.
Okay, let me get you up to the Detective Bureau, okay? Hold on just a second.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Your investigation?
Yeah, my name is Martin Drummond, and I had a complaint filed against me, and the guy gave me the number, but I've misplaced my folder, and I've looked all morning for it, and I can't look for it any longer. I left a message with the detective who's investigating my case.
Okay, what's the detective's name, sir, and I can transfer you to him?
Well, see, that's the thing. All I remember is it was something like Merkel or something like that.
Merker? Detective Merker?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Okay. Hang on just a second, I'll transfer you to him. Detective Merker.
Hi, my name's Martin Drummond, and I had a case filed against me with you. I've lost the case number. I haven't lost it, I just can't find my folder. You still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I heard a click. I thought somebody hung up. So I don't know what to do. I mean, if there's can you explain to me what I should do?
Right now I'm just working through the case, trying to determine whether they're going to want charges for terroristic threatening, because you did make those statements. It doesn't matter what kind of context you made them in. That's something that would be handled in court if they would decide to pursue charges. But I'm going to talk to them and see what they want at DCBS.
I have made it clear to them that I wasn't talking to them. I wasn't talking. I mean,
the statements were still made is the problem.
Well, and the statement that I made was simply an expression of anger, like if I were to say, it makes me so mad, it makes me want to strangle somebody. Same kind of statement. I mean,
yeah, but you specifically said you wanted to kill. I would kill somebody.
I didn't say I would.
I would kill one of them.
I said that it makes you want to, and that's a completely different.
Yeah, I got the recording, so.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not saying you meant it to be harmful, and you may have intended it just to be your own anger release, and you didn't know anyone was on the other line or that it was being recorded.
I had no idea.
So that's all taken into consideration.
And I would never say something like that. And the way the recording goes, where I'm on, I thought I was on hold for all that time, and I'd kind of forgotten that I was even on hold. I was just driving, I was on my way. And
driving, or you're talking to another person? It sounded like you were talking to another person at
no.
the old place on Creative Drive.
Well, I mean, there were times when I was talking to guys who were going in and out trying to figure out where to go. If that's what you're talking about. But when she said you're just going to have to hold on for a minute, I never heard a peep out of her after that, and I assumed I was on hold. And you know, I didn't say anything even threatening towards them. I mean, I would never say anything like that. I mean, a person would have to be crazy, right, to say that kind of stuff to somebody over the phone, knowing that they're a government employee.
It happens.
It may happen, but you listen to the recording. I didn't have any kind of problem with her. You know, I was perfectly happy. I was glad that she tried to help me, but I'd already found out what I needed to know, and I was driving away, and I wasn't paying attention. I was just talking, generally speaking. You know, I get my feelings down.
Okay, I'll document all that. What is your contact number?
It's 433-2331.
433-2331?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I gotta contact DCBS and see how they want to pursue that. If they don't want any charges, then I'll call you back and it'll be dropped.
Well, they've already told me that's not going to happen.
Okay, well it'll be up to them.
Right, I understand that. And
I mean, I'll go through what you told me and everything, and we'll look into your background a little bit, so to make sure what you're saying isn't something you've done in the past or anything like that.
oh yeah, you can investigate me all day long. I mean,
Okay.
I'm a good person. I'm an upstanding part of my community.
Okay.
And
Once
I have.
the investigation's completed, hopefully by early next week, then I'll give you a call back.
Okay, now I understand the law, and I really think, after looking at it objectively, that there's not a case here. Because, I mean, even what I said wasn't a direct threat against anybody, and it certainly wasn't intended by me to be a direct
It's a
threat.
direct threat to anybody working for DCBS. So
I'm really sorry that she was sitting there listening. I mean, if she had just said something, I would have said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't talking to you." But she,
well, then you calling makes you.
I know.
Helps your case, shows that you're concerned and you apologize for what you've done. So
oh,
that'll take into effect
well,
as well.
you know, I don't feel that I did anything wrong. I mean, I was just talking to my camcorder.
Okay, well, I got some other cases to work on through today, so
Right,
once
okay.
I finish up with this one, I will give you a call back.
I'm sorry. They should hire more of you. Thanks a lot.
They should hire more of us.
I know. Thanks a lot.
All right, have a good day. I wanted to confirm with you, your birth date's December 27th of 1960,
Sure.
and your social is 551-532-842.
Right.
Okay. All right. I'll just let you know, we're still investigating, but I'm going to forward this with the county attorney's office for them to decide what they want to do with it.
Okay.
So sometimes next week we'll probably know, and I'll call you.
Can I go in and talk to them after you forward it?
Sure. If you want to call down there, you can probably do that as well.
Yeah, I've been down there twice and been down to the police station 3 times, and nobody could tell me anything about this. And I've got another case. Actually, I'm not guilty of terroristic threatening, but I was threatened with a serious.
Is that the one that was like a year ago?
Almost.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, you'll have to deal with that. I'm not sure who's assigned to that report.
Oh, I wasn't saying that. I was just saying that I've been down there 3 times in the last
Okay.
3 days.
Alrighty.
And
Well, I just wanted to keep you updated on what was going on.
and you know, I'm no threat to run or anything like that.
Yeah,
I'll
I
stay.
don't think you are.
I'll stay here and face
That's why-
whatever happens.
That's why I'm in contact with you. If I was afraid of that, then we'd be in a different situation. But from my understanding is that Chris, from who you talked to on the phone,
Chris
from,
White.
yeah, are you banned from there? Is that what my understanding is? That you're banned from going to the location?
That's
You still make phone calls to them to get your services?
yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you're clear on all that, and if you have any questions.
I just think that I've been having problems with them for like a year and a half, and I'm just talking about they seem to do a lot of things from their supervisors telling them to do stuff that like really makes things unfairly difficult. So, you know, I mean, that's kind of what I was talking about when I was talking about and then, you know, I was talking from a very, well, you don't, this isn't important to you, right? I mean, you're not...
Yeah, you'll be able to explain all that to the county attorneys if they decide to even move forward with the case. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it.
Okay, and so can I just go, because I know exactly where it is, can I just go to the offices on Monday?
You can if you want. I mean, I can't tell you can't go there.
Should I call them?
I would call first, but I would wait until Monday or so, since it's Friday.
So do people just make an appointment, call them and make an appointment?
You can call and ask for either somebody about this case, or they'll probably know what's going on, but just call and see if you make an appointment or something to talk to somebody. I'm not sure. That's up to you.
Now that reminds me of something very important. No, I found that paperwork, so I know what the case number is. Okay, so I guess we're set. And you know, I gotta say, you know, you're really nice. I appreciate the job you're doing, because you know most police are really abrupt with me, and I just appreciate that you're nice.
Sir, I'm sorry that.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm not, and not every, but like when I came to the window the other day, the guy's just very gruff, and I don't mind that. You know, people can behave like grumpy. I don't hold that against them.
Well, I'm sorry that you had that experience.
No, and I'm not saying anything bad about him. He just didn't, you know, you make it like, all I'm trying to say is you make it almost pleasant to be in trouble.
Well, I try.
Okay.
I mean, this is a minor offense, so I deal with.
Well, it is if they don't throw the book at me, but you know, I had a judge just intimidate me into pleading guilty of a DUI down there, and I wasn't even drunk, and he just I'm not going to go into the details, but he used something that I absolutely had nothing to do with. Said he was going to find me guilty of stalking and all this stuff, and I wasn't even there, you know, and he intimidated me into pleading guilty, because when I was in Houston, they told me not to ever take the drunk driving test if you get pulled over. So when I came up here and I got pulled over, I refused to take the test. So they automatically took my license away, and then the judge threatened to, you know, run me over. Okay, I'm sorry for wasting your time.
Well, yeah, I just was calling to touch base with you, and that so you wouldn't have to worry about it all weekend.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And my mom, she's just sick over this, you know.
Do we have your address correct in our system?
I called in to make sure it was correct. It should be.
Larkhill?
Yeah. Now that's not I don't live there, but I spend a lot of time. That's my mother, and
what is your address?
I'm homeless. I mean,
Okay,
I
where
really,
do you stay?
well, not really any place in particular. I mean, I have a vehicle that I can, I go back and forth between my farm a lot. I can stay down there, you know, when I really need to, you know. Other than that, I look for, you know, I have part-time kind of, I can make some money every once in a while. I have a little, do some car touch-up and stuff like that. And I look to try and make money, but, so I'm always just traveling around.
If I use the Larkhill Road then, or is it Larkhill Cove?
Yeah, that's my mailing address, and that's official. And
429 Larkhill Cove?
yeah, and you can,
Okay.
I mean, if you tell me you want to see me and you want to meet me somewhere,
I'll call you.
I'll go there so that you can meet me. And I'll come down anytime you want. You know, that's no big
well,
deal.
I might call you next Monday, depending on what the county attorney wants. So.
Right. I hate to go through this,
I
but
don't know what'll happen. They may just give you a paper, a subpoena to appear in court at a certain time.
right.
But that's just what would be my guess. I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You have a good weekend.
Thanks.
Bye.
Twice now we've had this guy, Copper Chopper, flying low over the neighborhood. I have no idea, but considering my situation, it makes me nervous. But I've been assured that until Monday, nothing's going to happen with me. And I can't imagine anything happening with me anyway. I mean, it's definitely looking at something over here. Who knows what's going on? Okay, the sound's really low, but I'm driving down to Creative Drive to handle a letter that they sent me saying that I thought it said that, you know, well, it said I didn't complete my interview, and you can see it's 10:10. Okay. Yeah, I'm just talking about stop signs and stuff, and anyway, that's not really an issue. The point is that I talk to my camcorder all the time. I mean, I'm on my way down there right now, and not all the time, but whenever I've got anything on my mind, you know, I just, when things go through your mind, they go through your mind and then they're gone, right? But if you can speak them out into the car cam, then they're, if you want to, they're preserved forever. So I do, you know, anytime, you know, and who's to say what's important and what isn't, so I feel like what I'm saying, and there's lots of reasons. I'm a very complicated person. I have a lot going on, a lot of stuff. I feel that I have a lot of inventions that are really important. You know, I don't brag about myself, but I'm telling you that I really feel like, you know, nobody is taken advantage of. Nobody, I feel like I really have some important things to add to the United States, to the world. I have a lot of really great ideas. And I know everybody says that, and I know everybody thinks that. But I do, man. And I feel like I've been underutilized. I mean, you had me out touching up cars most of my life. I mean, because everybody else wants the important positions. And you know, for years and years and years, I was more than satisfied to go, you know, yeah, I'm important. I feel like I'm really important objectively speaking about myself. And I feel like the world has just decided, or the establishment really is what I feel like, has just decided we don't care what you think, you know? We don't care that you think that we're passing up on, I mean, what if I could have solved all these problems that you're talking about, that I hear about every day? How stupid would it be if it turns out that I'm right, huh? And when I have a feeling that it feels a certain way, I'm always right. And I've learned to recognize that feeling, and I've learned to, act on it. So that's a lot of reason why that's like one of the main reasons that I do talk on my on this little car cam. I'm using it right now. I'm making this right now with this car cam. I talk on it all the time, and I do think that I have a sense of, I can just get right to the point. I can get right to, I have a sense for priorities, and I have a sense for importance. So I'm able to very quickly, sometimes I need the help of experts, but very quickly on almost any subject, I can kind of get rid of all the clutter and focus in on the main point, unless I'm flustered. And when I talk to attorneys that are threatening to throw me in jail, when I talk to security guys that are treating me like I'm Osama bin Laden or something, I do get very flustered and I can't think. So that's why I've decided just to go through this video with you and explain it on video. So I'm driving down to the Creative Drive, and I'm already just talking away, and I know you don't want to just see that all, the whole thing. Okay, and I absolutely swear to God to you that, and I know I don't really believe in the same God as, I'm not a Christian or anything, I'm what I call a Jesusician. I know, it's kind of strange. I don't believe in the mythological Jesus, I believe that he was a real guy. Okay, so anyway, and I know that offends people that I think that their Jesus was kind of a story, a great story. That's why I'm a Jesusician. I really strongly believe in a lot of the things that he were attributed to him that he said. So anyway, that aside, I'm talking about how they do things at Snap, and I assure you, I have a case against them, if not many cases. And I really don't like a lot of things like they're doing with that work program. They sent me a thing in the mail, and I found out it was voluntary for anybody over 49. But for anybody under 49, they're forcing people to work for below minimum wage. The most I think you can get, or a guy like me can get, is about $200 out of Snap. Now, if they make you work 30 hours a week, do the math. That works out to a couple dollars an hour, and I don't care how they do it. That is, they can't do that, man. That's completely illegal. So I'm not going to get into that, but that's a lot of what I talk about when I'm driving, and I don't have anything else to do but drive, So it's pretty clear from listening to this, if you had to sit down and listen to the whole thing, it's pretty clear that I do a lot of talking. I'm not on the phone. I'm just talking to my car cam, and I save it because I like to listen to it, and I like to, if you can't, the best way to kind of make yourself rational is to listen to yourself. We do it in our minds all day long, right? We're constantly two people. We're constantly thinking to each other. I mean, that's how we memorize things, is we constantly think about them and we talk to ourselves. Now, I know it's just one person talking back and forth, and I know it's not two people. You know, so let's get to that as part of the case, because I am a rational human being. I am extremely rational. I mean, and I'm the first one to admit when I make a mistake, as I explained a million times to people that I talk to. I think it's a gift when somebody proves me wrong, because now I'm smarter. I thank them, you know. It's like this court case. You know, this court case could be such a gift to me because, first of all, I could deal with a couple of really serious issues that I have and that I think the people have with the justice system, with the laws. And that's concerning, you know, the terrorism laws and what we're allowed to say to each other in certain places, like when you're in line at the airport to get on the plane. Now, you're not allowed to mention a bomb. You're not allowed when you're in a paraphernalia shop in Texas to mention marijuana. I mean, they're selling pipes and stuff, and you're not allowed to mention pot, right? It's crazy. I mean, I got thrown out of a store down there. Okay, now I know the court doesn't want to hear all this, but there's a lot of issues that relate to this case that I'm really concerned about, because you're saying that when I was on the phone, I mean, I clearly was not speaking to the woman. I had completely forgotten that she was even there. I thought I was on hold, but I had kind of, you know, I'd gone on to other things. I was driving, and I was moved. My car cam was in the seat behind me, and I'd taken, I mean, it was setting up where it could see, but I'd taken it and put it on its holder in the window. There's a suction cup. And I had more or less forgotten about this woman being there, and I had no idea that she was sitting there listening to me. And I would never say anything like that, because I know the laws. I know these laws. I mean, I don't know for sure there's a law that says when you're talking to a girl like that on the phone, you can't say what I said. As a matter of fact, that's one of the issues I'm going to get into is, you know, all I said, and it's a figure of speech, was makes you want to kill somebody. It's the same as saying, you make me so mad I want to strangle you. I mean, who says that and then strangles somebody? Okay, maybe some idiot, but not a normal, rational person. No, he'd have to have a damn good reason, right, to strangle somebody. So, you know, the expressions I used, I was thinking about, when I said it, about how how somebody with less control over their emotions, how somebody who's crazy, who's violent, who's militant, radical, might react to the things that are happening to me. When I said, well, makes you want to kill somebody or blow somebody up. That's what I was referring to, and I was referring to it because what I was thinking about, and please keep in mind that I was not talking to her. I was talking to myself, and I was getting into a conversation with myself about, you know, how angry people must get because they're going down to this place and getting the same, right? I mean, they're getting the same treatment as I am. I'm sure I'm not the only person who goes down to Snap and finds themselves up against a brick wall and people making things very hard for them, and their life is already hard and much harder than mine. You're playing with a bomb when you're doing that, and that was what was going through my head, and I was thinking about, and I was thinking all about, well, talking about how people, how do people make up their mind that they've just had enough and then they turn violent, right? And maybe they do set off I mean, I've never heard of anybody setting off a bomb in a snap place. And I don't know what goes on out there in the world. I mean, people may be setting off bombs and I don't hear about it, but I'd think that would be, I'd hear about it instantly. I mean, God, when a bomb goes off in the United States, I mean, everybody hears about it. So, I mean, I would think I would know, and it's not happening. And at the same time, because of people like this, and he was in that, right? I mean, this guy in Las Vegas, and I know that him doing that really puts a fucking brick over my head, you know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I forgot I was talking to the court at this time, and I apologize. I don't talk that way to people, but I'm sitting here by myself, so kind of talk the way I talk, and I will try not to say that the F word again. Drop the F bomb, as it's so popular said now. Okay, so what was I saying? So you know, I was thinking in terms of like doing a piece, doing an article type thing, a video article, I guess you could call it, on, and I think I will, on how, you know, how people get there, how people get to the point where, you know, Oklahoma City, I don't know, wherever people have gotten to that point. And then I was thinking about writing you know, elaborating on that in the same piece about, well, when is it legitimate to get to that point, right? That's what I was talking about later when I was talking about war. And I firmly believe everything that I said. I do believe there's a war on the poor. I do believe that people like me who speak out, and I know that I doubt seriously that this is a case of political. I don't feel like I'm being, like I'm a political prisoner or whatever, like I'm under attack because of my politics. I know that, you know, people are programmed, the TV and stuff, to not like what I have to say about what's going on, and immediately they are very negative towards what I have to say. But there's whole, you know, society of people out there who do absolutely agree with me, and we're a movement, and you know who we are. We're the progressives. Anyway, don't want to get too far into politics because I've got a case here that I'm trying to prove. My point is that I'm having a conversation, and it's all about my political and my, you know, it's kind of a junior journalist kind of thing that I'm doing. And that's what's going on here. I'm sitting there hashing out a few things, and I am talking to myself. I mean, if anybody doesn't believe this at this time, if anybody thinks I'm just trying to get out of what I said, well, first of all, I'm not trying to get out of what I said. I mean, it was just me talking journalism kind of stuff, and I'm not trying to get out of what I said. I can explain what I had to say, and I didn't say anything that would indicate that I'm going to try to build a bomb. Come on. I mean, I have a 12-gauge shotgun for my grandfather left me. If I wanted to kill somebody, I could kill somebody. I'm not out to hurt anybody. As a matter of fact, I very strongly believe in turning the other cheek. I mean not verbally, but physically. I don't believe, I mean, yes, I believe there's a time where you have to defend yourself, but I very, very strongly believe in trying to, and everything that I've done in this case, you know, I talked to that guy, Chris White, the day that he called, and I explained all of this stuff to him, and he just would have none of it, and he, to this day, he insists that I'm talking to that girl on the phone, and he says nothing that I say matters, and that's infuriating. I mean, how angry do you get when everybody says, well, the things that are that exonerate you don't matter. What? That makes me angry. You know, how does it not matter that I wasn't talking to her? How does it not matter that I would never say anything to her like that I'm not crazy? I mean, I'm sitting there for 2 or 3 minutes and driving along, and then I pick up my car cam and put it in the window, and all of a sudden I just start going off on her. I didn't even know she was on the phone. I didn't do that. That's not. And then on top of that, I have a record, man. I mean, I've never done anything like that. I mean, sure, I've gotten into arguments with people. Sure, people try to screw me and try and do bad things to me, and sure, I have things to say to them. But I have a record of being incredibly, I mean, I think, like I say, I hate to brag about myself, but I think that I'm really good with people. Matter of fact, I should be down there running that Snap place. I have the feeling that there's a guy running the Snap place who's got it in for me. Now, I don't know if that's true, but there's a lot of evidence that he's messing with me. And I could get into that, but let's where this is going right now. So, and I have to go eat because it's time to eat. I promised my mother I would come over here tonight and cook her some food. So I'll get back to this in a second, and back to you. I'm planning on showing this to the court, and well, that's all for now. Okay, so I'm almost down there now.
Thank you very much.
Just talking about how I just missed that light. You know, I don't always follow every little rule to the T, like at stop signs. If there's like nobody for miles around, I might just slow down almost to a stop or something like that. But I am really careful, and I have not had an accident for ages, and the only one I had was over in the Kroger Heartland parking lot, and that lady hit me hard, and then she talked the cop into making it a no fault. I mean, I was barely moving. I was backing out of my spot, and she was in some huge hurry, and she came hauling, and she crushed the back of the van I was driving. I was driving one of my dad's vans. He was still alive. Anyway, so you know, I'm a good guy, man. I may not follow every little rule, and I know, you know, conservative America doesn't agree with me in any way, but I'm still right about all those issues, politically and stuff. Whether, I mean, well, I'm not going to get into politics right now. But because it has nothing to do with this. I mean, it does and it doesn't, but the details of my politics and why I feel the way I feel about things that I feel about, the only way that they're really related is, you know, I feel like people like me who are poor are getting screwed. Okay, that's not too harsh, is it? And I mean, not all of them. I'm not saying some of them aren't contributory, and so in that respect, and I feel like I'm getting screwed. I worked hard right there, over there, when that was Jacob's Choice. Now it's a Toyota dealership. I worked every dealership. I worked at Freedom Dodge, and I worked down at all those dealerships. And we had James up until recently. And, well, not recently, up until the end when my dad died and all that happened. And so we've lost the business and everything, but Mom had to retire anyway, and the 2 dealerships she had left, it was worthless. I couldn't deal with them. I never was in charge. I never had to deal with them. I just did the work. I just went there and did the work. I was managing for a while, but it was out of town. And I can tell you that all of those people, those used car managers, are hard to deal with. Some of them can be very nice, but the pressures involved and stuff, they always try to make you do stuff you aren't getting paid for, and all, and just on and on and on. So here I am arriving at the place, and there's nobody except for one Hispanic lady sitting in her car out in the parking lot. And I go to her and I go, you know, the place is empty, and she can't understand anything I say. And I have an issue with that. I'm conservative in some ways. I don't understand why people who can't speak English are collecting food stamps. I don't agree with that. So, I mean, I don't disagree with conservatives on everything. I don't like homosexuality. I believe in their rights. Sorry, I can't help talking not talking politics. Politics is my life, you know. I love it. And the law, even though I'm nothing near a lawyer or anything like that, I love it. I love the law, and I wish I could help fix some of the things about the law that I don't like people being told they can't talk about certain things in line, and when they go into a paraphernalia shop. I mean, obviously everybody knows there's a lot of pot smoking going on. What's this massive shop with like tons of paraphernalia operating in the middle of Houston? So come on. So anyway, okay, back to this. The thing is, there's not much going on, so I'm just trying to entertain you. Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead on this recording. I'll tell you what I did, though. So I get in the car and I drive around to the front thinking, well, they've just changed where you come into the building. And then I came back around and that lady's still there, and I parked here, and I think I just had to look one more time. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was just there on the 14th, and this is the 10th of the next month, and that's when I talked to her. I'm a very friendly guy. I mean, and you know, I tell people, and I don't know whether they believe me or not, but you know, you're safer when I'm around. I mean, I'm not going to let anybody do anything to anybody. I would be the first person to jump in and help, and I'm all about community and friends and all that kind of stuff. I don't know very many people who aren't like me in those respects. I mean, where we seem to get at odds is in politics. I mean, as far as, I have lots of friends that are conservative, and I don't know how I get along with them. I mean, how they can believe the things they believe in and accept them as friends. That's just the way it is, I guess. I mean, I'm not, it's not that I agree with them, but I think that, you know, cutting them off and not talking to them and stuff is not the way to fix things. So I'm very friendly with a lot of different people, and I mean, I've known people who were like KKK, and I mean, it's crazy out in Ashland where I was doing a lot of work. Whew. I mean, they're serious. I mean, every other word is the N word, you know. And you just got to sit there and Okay, so at some point I'm on the phone, and of course I spend a long time on hold, and I was still pissed off about like the day before or 2 days before sometime, and I'd called and I spent a good half hour, 45 minutes on hold, and somebody, it sounded like a black girl, picks it up and goes, "Hello?" And I go, "Hello? Hello? Hello?" And I hear a click. I'm like, God damn, man. You spent at least a half an hour, probably 45 minutes or somewhere in between. And the person picks up and says hello and then hangs up. So understand my frustration, okay? You can't call. I mean, it's weird. There's a couple different numbers, and the ones that can't do anything for you, you have to get these people. before you get anything done, and they're impossible to get on the phone. As a matter of fact, back around the beginning of, or sometime back in 2015, 2016, you'd call up and they'd tell you the phones are too busy. Sorry, we can't answer the number. And this would go on for weeks. And I just got sick of it and would go down there. And you know what really made me angry is I went down there and I told them, you know, that I had this problem with this $245 a month that I was getting. And I told them I wanted to see a person, you know, I wanted to be, and they told me no. And I told her I could see her supervisor. I said, you go ask him. And she came back and said, no, you can't see one. And it says right on the thing that if your income changes, come in and make an appointment and see a person, you know, one of the I don't know what they really call them down there, but we call them caseworkers. And I mean, you wonder why I'm mad. This happens, these kind of things happen over and over and over again. The not being able to call. I went down there 3 times and told them fix my address, because they didn't fix my address. And so I was on Coventry Cares, and I think it was Aetna at the time, or whatever, but either way, it dropped me. It dropped me because my address with them was not the address for the insurance company. And now I have a big problem with these MCOs. I mean, they're just middlemen sucking the cash out of our health care. I mean, we paid the Medicaid. I paid Medicaid for you. All these people, and the ones who didn't, obviously didn't have enough money, didn't make enough money, didn't have a good job, didn't have a job at all. They need Medicaid too, whether they paid in or not. Medicaid is not, and Social Security, everybody talks about, oh, you know, I paid in. No, Social Security and Medicaid aren't about who paid in and who didn't pay. Social Security and Medicaid, and if they aren't, they should be, are about helping out the most desperate people. We do not want millions of desperate people. So anyway, so I go down here over and over again, and this is what happens to me over and over again. Now, you want to call it inept? At some point I was getting the strong feeling and strong indications that there was somebody behind all this when I was dealing with the Hispanic guy right over here somewhere, you know, in the offices. It's just like he was out to get me. And I had the feeling it wasn't so much him as his supervisor, whoever that guy was that he went out and talked to. And I'm not going to get into all those details unless you'd like me to. I'd love to tell them to you, but I'm sure you don't have time. So these people were making me crazy. So he's found out that they've moved the whole thing down behind Walmart on the north side of town. Now I'm on the phone with her, telling her that the building's empty, and she's like shocked, and I'm like, yeah, I know, isn't it crazy? And I'm getting along with her just fine. I didn't have any problem with her. I had no reason to say any of that to her, okay? Absolutely not. I thought she was wonderful. Now I don't feel so good about her because, you know, and I understand she thinks I called her a bitch. I didn't call her a bitch. I just said this, I think this bitch is hung up on me, you know, because I was a little bit perturbed about the whole thing. I mean, it's like, it seemed to me like, you know, it seemed to her like I was talking to her. Well, guess what? It seemed to me like she put me on hold and then hung up on me. She never said one word, and she sat there and listened to that conversation and allowed me to let it get recorded the whole time. What does that say about her? How mean is that? I mean, I didn't mean to tell any of this. I don't mind talking about it. I would love to, you know, get these issues out in the open and say what I have to say, but I didn't want to do it this way. So anyway, so we're all like, okay, and the black guy who just came by, he hasn't told me that it's back behind the Walmart yet. And see, I see some light coming, and I thought the lights were on, but it was the light coming all the way from the other side of the building on a long hallway out here. I was hoping there was somebody in there. I even knocked on the window at one point, but there was nobody in there. So I'm not mad, but I'm like, okay, here we go again with this place, right? I mean, wouldn't you be? After all, and like I said, there's a lot of stuff I haven't gone into with you, but I'm like, oh man, this is, look at me. I'm going, this is the same old shit. Same old shit, different day. So I don't know if I want to, well, I'm going to have this video included, so anything that I miss on the video at this point, because this is all important, you will have the video. You obviously have the phone call, and you know, if they put in your mind when they let you listen to that phone call that I was talking to her, and you guys deal with crazy people who probably do things like that every day, I can see how you would think that that was real, that was me talking to her, and it wasn't. Okay? And I think that's clear on this video. I really do. I think it is, and I've let a lot of people listen to it, and they agree with me. They're like, yeah, you weren't talking to her. So I can't hear anything because this is a really bad, the sound on this laptop is just awful. And there were lots of people pulling in and going behind me and going over here to this side and turning around and then going back out behind me. And there were some people, I guess, went around the building, like around the back of the building. Some people, there were a lot of people though, in just the time that I was there. Okay, now I'm not going to be able to hear. Okay, this is me. Okay, so you have this recording. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to play it all. I'm just going to kind of, and then here's the black guy coming over telling me he found out it's Walmart. I'm pretty sure that's what I think that's him. I may not even be in the car. Anyway, what I'm going to say is I'm going to say about the conversation, okay? It was very pleasant. She was very nice. I was feeling good. You know, here, this lady is like as shocked as I am. You know what I mean? I would have never gone off on her. She did nothing. And that's probably why people are upset. They're probably saying, well, she didn't do anything to deserve to what he said. And you're right, because I didn't do that. I didn't say that stuff to her. I was talking to my cam. Now, as to what I talk about, you know, I talk, you know, I'm an old 56-year-old hippie from California, grew up, and to this day I'm just, that's what I am, you know. I'm an old hippie. I'm sorry, I'm a progressive Democrat. I believe in you know, I believe that the conservatives are not taking care of the country properly, and I want my shot at help. And you know, let's give me a chance. Let's give people like me a chance at least. So that's how I am, you know. And of course, nobody wants to listen to me, except for other progressives. But on the conservative side, nobody listens. They just blow me off. They're immediately, you know, they've got their talking points, and that's that. So at this point, she told me when I was still in the parking lot, you're just going to have to hold on or something like that. And of course, I'm not hearing anything from her. And to be quite honest, I mean, I thought she put me on hold, but I also just kind of forgot she was on the phone. I'm just holding the phone. I've got it on speaker. If she had said anything, I would have heard it. And if you listen to the actual video that we're looking at on decent speakers, you'll not hear a peep out of her. As a matter of fact, it was dead. I didn't know whether she disconnected me or I was on hold, and I had no idea that she was sitting there in front of her computer waiting to, I don't know, waiting to do what. You know, I already had my answer. I'm leaving. I'm going. I'm on my way there. And if I'd had half a brain, and I admit it, when I'm stupid, man, I'm the stupidest guy in the world. And I hate that about myself, but, you know, that's just the way I am. When I make mistakes, they can be doozies. Not, you know, I don't ever hurt anybody with my mistakes. I'm kind of got a protective over me there, as you know, but I sure do screw myself up, don't I? Okay, so now I understand right there that she thinks I'm talking to her, and I don't even remember that she's on the phone. I had the cam setting up behind me on the seat next to me, because I set it there when I park so that it gets a wider angle of view, so it picks up other things, and so that people don't see it hanging in the window, because then they might steal it or break into my van, which would be more, I mean, they could have the damn camera, right? So I wanted to say something, and I was looking for the camera, and I saw, oh, I set it over here. So I pick it up and I put it in the window again, and I start talking to it. Now, I think that's clear. I think that's absolutely clear. I mean, the fact that I moved the camera at the exact same time I started talking, because I was looking for it to talk to it. Okay? I mean, that's obvious to me. I know that's what I want to believe, and I know that's what other people are going to think. Well, he just wants us to believe that. No, I don't. I mean, yeah, I do, because it's the truth. So, and then I start talking, right? And yeah, I know I'm a crazy guy when I get to talking about stuff, but I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to the camera. And I have no idea she's listening. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't say these things to somebody in a discussion, but I would be talking to them, and I would say them to them in a way that they would understand what I meant. So when I say, I get so angry I could kill somebody, or I want to kill, you know, you make me so angry, you make me want to kill somebody or blow somebody up. Okay, well, if I was saying that to a person, I would say to them, you know, you make people so angry that they want to kill you or kill somebody or blow somebody up, you know, if they could find the person who was the source of their pain and anger, right? Well, if I was saying that straight to somebody's face, they wouldn't take it as a threat. There's no way. There's no way. Unless they were just assholes and they were trying to... And I have a hard time not believing that somewhere behind all this, there's a certain amount of that somebody's taking this, and they certainly know that I wasn't talking to her after I told them. I mean, it's an obvious assumption that is wrong, right? And they know that I wasn't talking to her after the first phone call that I had with Chris White, which I was in such a tizzy over this whole thing after what he said to me, that I accidentally when I pulled the battery out of my voice recorder, because I had it going when he called, or when I talked to him. I have voice recorders, and there's one going right now. I keep them running all the time around my neck. I just like to record what I hear and see, because if you don't have it going all the time, then when something really strange happens, I mean, you haven't turned it on yet, right? So you just basically have to record all the time, and then when I get done, if it's just a normal day, I just pull the battery out of it and the recording goes dead. But if I want to save the recording, then I have to, and this one's all screwed up, but anyway, I have to press the button and hold it down, and it says saving. So when he called me the other day, I got so nervous about all this, because I'm being accused of terrorism, right? Or something. It says terroristic threatening. And the first thing I did was I pulled out the battery. I mean, it's very easy to do, because see, these things pop off the black covers and they get lost almost immediately. So I take a piece of tape and I put it over the back and I tape it on, and I can leave it like that, and so all you do is have to pull off the tape and it pulls the battery out. And that's exactly what I did when he called after he called the other day. And I had the whole day, all of this on here too. But because he got me so upset, and he just wouldn't accept the fact that I wasn't talking to her, that I didn't know she was on the phone. Just absolutely adamant. And I'm telling you what I just was trying to tell you, and that's that I think that he doesn't want to. I think he wants to cause me as much pain and misery. I think he'd like to get me thrown in jail. It would be an incredible miscarriage of justice. An innocent man punished for something he didn't do, and I hear about it every day, and I know it happens. I know that the people in the legal system, they fight tooth and nail, even when they know they've got an innocent man, if they've convicted him, because they don't want their convictions overturned. And that's not right. We talk about the adversarial system. Well, it's been turned into a monster. I mean, once you realize you've got an innocent man, there should be absolutely zero fight to exonerate him and let him free, and you ought to pay him back. And we'll get into that. I better not lose this case. There's no way I should lose this case. It's so obvious. I mean, it's an open and shut case. Now, if it turns out that I get convicted of this and that I have to be punished somehow, then you're just trying to punish me for my opinions and stuff. I mean, if somebody manages to convict me on this and to punish me in some way, then I know that it's not because I broke any laws, because everybody knows I haven't broken any laws. It's got to be the ulterior motives. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what they are. I mean, it could be anything from my opinion on, whatever, right? I express my opinions openly, and who knows who's out there, who I'll be dealing with, and what they're going to think. I don't know if they want to know. Maybe I shouldn't be volunteering the information, but I volunteered the information for one reason, and that's because I want you to know I'm not hiding anything. Okay? I mean, I want you to know I'm upfront. I'm also proud of my opinions, and I'm proud of my part in what we call the revolution, and that's Bernie Sanders. And I know a lot of you hate Bernie Sanders, and I know, God, the Clintonistas, we call them, they vehemently, I think they hate us more than Republicans hate us, because they blame us for her losing, and she's the one who lost. Okay, enough politics again. My point is that there's going to be people out there who hate me for being a progressive Democrat, okay? And they're going to know it. I mean, I wear Feel the Burn t-shirts all day long, okay? Everybody's going to know. And everybody down at that headquarters where I was talking to, they know. And I bet they know me because of all the things. You know, it seems like all this started one day when I went down there, and I was early, and so I was at the front of the line. As a matter of fact, let's just go back for a second. Okay, so you see in this picture, so when I came, I was standing right there at the front of the line. So there was nobody there, so you know, I just stood in front of the door, and as people came, they lined up behind me, and some of them came on this side, and I was kind of stuck where I was, and my back was killing me because I can't stand in one place for more than 15 minutes, and I mean literally, but I hide it well, and so I'm standing there, and I find the best thing to do is to put my hands against those little handles and to lean back, and that would help stretch my back. And I wasn't there that long. I mean, it was from about 7:45 to about 15 minutes to 8. So I'm standing there, and there's people to one side, and there's people all over here too. And this black girl walks up, and I don't know who she is, and she walks right up to me, and she gets like 4 inches from my face, and she just looks at me like I'm supposed to know what she's looking at. I'm like, what's this girl? What's her problem, right? So I say something, and I'm pretty sure I have it recorded, but I remember listening to the recording, and I couldn't hear much about what was said, and there wasn't much said. I mean, I said something like, is there something I can do for you, or something like that, and she goes, I've got to get in the door. Well, there were people here, so I moved over about here, and she went and looked in the door, and I guess she was looking for the black guy at the desk, none of which I've ever had a problem with. As a matter of fact, I used to banter with them and talk with them from time to time. And then she turns around to me and looks at me like, you're not far enough over. I mean, he's going to open this door on the right anyway. They don't open this door. I've been there enough times to know. And she just gives me a really nasty look and stands there looking at me like I'm crazy. And somebody in the line even said, God, the people they have to deal with. I'm like, damn, whoa, what's wrong with everybody? I mean, I didn't do anything. All I did was tried to deal with her the best way I knew how, and I didn't know who she was until she told me. I didn't know what she wanted. Anyway, so yeah, and I think it's got a lot to do with the way I look, but you know what? That's the way I look. You know, I'm sorry. I don't complain when, you know, I don't have money for fancy clothes, and I'd gotten fat, and I'm not nearly as fat as I was then, and the only thing I could wear was these sweats, and I've kind of got used to them. And you know what? I've gotten to the point where I don't really care what people think. Not of what I have clothes on, or, you know, if I stink, yeah, I would, and I'd go to a lot of trouble to try and stay, you know, clean and stuff. And so maybe that's what bothers. I mean, there's a lot of conservatives out there, and they just like to find something, you know, to feel superior about. And I'm sorry if that offends some of the conservatives who might be listening to this, but some of you are like that. And you know that. I've noticed that, I mean, I've lived amongst conservatives all my life, and they can't get along with each other. Why would they be able to get along with somebody like me? They're looking for people like me to scapegoat. They don't take the time to actually look into the person and what he's all about, and just, oh, hippie, you know, oh, poor person, you know, oh, has no place to shower, or whatever. So anyway, so you got her, and you got some girl in the line who's making comments that are obviously referencing our situation now that they know that and she's kissing ass on the girl. So anyway, the black guy comes and lets her in, right? All right, and I've got this recorded. So the black guy comes out finally to open the door. He opens the door, and everybody starts to go forward, and I'm in front of him, so I'm getting like kind of, nobody pushed me, but it's like everybody's squeezing up, you know. And the black guy goes, hang on, and I don't know exactly what he says, but he says, apparently this gentleman has come up with a whole new way to make sure he is first in line. And he spends about a minute or a half a minute talking about me, like pretending like he's praising me, when everybody knows it's just a total jackass way of putting me down and trying to make me feel bad. Now, he can't make me feel bad, because I don't care what he thinks, and I don't care what he makes everybody out here think. I didn't do anything. It's just kind of like this situation today. And it seems like dealing with these people, it's very easy to get into a situation where, even though you didn't do anything wrong, what is that? Why do these people do that to people? Why are they out to make everybody, I mean, the only thing I would guess is that their life sucks, that their jobs suck. And I've talked to lots of the girls who work behind the windows when we're nothing to do and we're waiting for something, and they talk about how they don't get paid shit, and how after that new governor, they were telling me that they laid off a whole bunch of people, and how they were all upset and they were unhappy. So I'm not their only problem, right? So you know, so he said that to me. I was thinking about filing some kind of case, but I couldn't find anybody to talk to. I don't know who you go to, and I would like to know that from the court here tonight, today. It's nighttime right now here. I would like to know, where do I get my day in court? Where do I go to deal with that black guy who berated me in a very sarcastic kind of way? It was a good satire piece is what it was. Where do I go to get my day in court over things like that, where people, I mean, people who work for the government don't have the right to just berate you in front of a whole bunch of people. There's got to be a law against that, and if there isn't, well, we need one. And you know, I know the first thing that you're going to say as people who are in the system, and I understand it, you're going to say, well, we don't have time for all these things. But you seem to have time when you hear me bubble up and express my feelings about them. All of a sudden, you're all about me, but when somebody's screwing me, I can't find anybody to help me. And you know, that does make me feel bad. That makes me feel like, yeah, you know, they've always got time to screw me, but they don't have time to protect me. And they don't have time. And you know what? I think I'm a great guy. I really do. I think I have a brilliant mind, and that I could be a big benefit on a bigger scale, on an important scale. But nobody wants people like me to be important or anything. And I don't even want to be important. I just want to help. I just want to pass on what I feel are gifts. I do feel like I have gifts. And, you know, I've never been able to share them all my life. Who knows how great this country could be. I have things that you would not believe that I believe I can do for my community and my country. But no, all you want me to do is touch up your cars, you know. I spend hot days out in the sun 16 hours an hour. Oh, you'll love that. But to listen to what I have to say and maybe be the next Einstein or, you know, Jimmy Carter or something like that, no. Nobody wants that. Nobody's interested in that. But, you know, fix my car or do some telemarketing or whatever, yeah. We love you for that. Okay. So that's part of what makes me feel the way I feel. When I say things like, you know, that's the bigger picture to the small picture that I've been explaining to you here about the little things that they do, and sometimes it's just stupidity, right? It's just ineptness, you know, not putting the sign up in the window. It's just somebody screwed up, right? And I don't have a problem with, I mean, I have a little tiny problem with that. I see that happening over and over in little ways that and sometimes I wonder, you know, okay, the Republicans hate the poor, obviously. I mean, every day in the news you hear about how they are talking about cutting food stamps, cutting Medicaid, all this stuff. So you wonder, okay, now since 2014 or something, they've gotten in charge of all this. Now they can't get rid of it, right? Because it would cause too much of an uproar. But they can do little things to make all these people down here, and I'm not saying they all have a right to be down there asking for food stamps. I certainly do. I worked and worked. But they can do all these little things. So you have to ask yourself, are these really, there's so many of them, are they really accidents? Are they really just stupidity? Is there something wrong with the people who work down here? Or is it the people above them, huh? Because now they put conservatives, it used to be they fired all, this is my guess now, and from what I've heard too. So did they fire all the progressive type people, the people who were there to help, you know, poor people, and put people, because I know that when Republicans get in power, they will put people like they will put the guy who's the biggest lobbyist for logging in charge of the Department of Agriculture or something like that, you know, or they'll put the guy who's in charge of lobbying or head of Exxon in charge of the Department of Energy, right? Or things like that. So you know about those things. Well, obviously you're going to apply, I'm going to apply them to this. So I'm going to say, well, what if they put some guy in charge of the food stamp in the Medicaid place? What if they put a guy in there who absolutely works for, and probably he himself is all about doing everything he can to cut it without cutting it? Okay, they can't just cut it, but they can get in there and they can screw it up, right, on purpose. So now I'm going to just say it. I think that's what's happened. And I think that's what I've been experiencing down here the whole time. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm so angry. Now, I would never get in. What's the point, right, in getting into that with some girl on the phone? There is no point, and I would never. get into it with a girl like that on the phone. I mean, if she started talking, or sometimes I talk to them about it, but I never say anything that would be remotely, and I leave the conversation with every time with the people on the phone. Every time I've left the conversation on a good basis. I've never gotten into their face. Sometimes when you have to deal with some total stupidity, you'll make it real clear that you're not happy, but I would never, and I never have, and you know that. I don't have a record. This has never happened before, and that regardless of my problems, I mean, everybody has problems with this place. That's part of the point of what I'm talking about here, is that. And when I was talking about blowing people up and killing people, I was really in my mind thinking about how I'm not the only one that they're doing this to, unless they're singling me out. But I figure this is happening to a lot of people, and I was sitting there thinking, God, you get the wrong person. And then I thought, well, that's probably why they've got that security guy with a big gun on his hip in there, because they piss so many people off. Well, regardless, right, of what's going on, I didn't say that to her, and I'm going to leave it at that. You can listen to this video. Well, actually, I'm not, because there is some stuff that I want to point out, and that is one that, I mean, my whole case is that, one, I didn't say it to her, and then two, that what I said is being blown way out of proportion, and that three, and there's some other things I'd like to discuss about what I said. I mean, I did talk about how people are at war, and I didn't mean shooting war. I meant like a war on the poor and things like that, a class war and stuff like that. And I'd like to get into that more, but I don't want to, I think I'm at a good point where I just want to make a final point. And if you want to discuss that stuff with me, that's my politics. I'm more than happy to discuss it, and I'm not ashamed. I'm proud of my politics. My politics are about caring about people, and I care about rich people too. I'm from a rich family. I'm from a family that's always been conservative, and I'm not, but I'm from that. And so I care, and I care about every single American citizen. If you are an American citizen, I'm like a groupie. I'm just like, I love Americans. So that, from that point of view, I have no animosity towards anybody. But what I was going to point out was, I was reading about terroristic threatening, and it said, number one, that if you don't harass the same person for a whole year again, then it said in the thing, and this was for Kentucky law, that generally speaking, nobody will file charges, or nobody will be allowed to file charges. It'll be thrown out. That's what I read on the internet, and it was an official kind of government site where they explain the law to you. So I'm assuming that's the law. So right there, I haven't bothered anybody, and I won't. If I do this again within a year and I don't have a good reason to do it, to say something rude or something, and I can't imagine myself saying something, but then again, if you well, you never know what situation you might get into, right? So anyway, that law, that part of the law, I think right there I'm off, right? I would think so. And then the other thing that it said was that it would have to be intended or to have caused, and if it had caused any, like, well, an evacuation is what they talk about. So like me talking about how you know, makes me want to blow somebody up. Okay, well, I went down to the place. I was on my way down there. So here I am, you know, on my way down there. And I get there. Here I am in my car, going in. And of course, I have no idea. I mean, if I had said that on the way down there to her, I would have been crazy to go inside and take care of my business. So here I am at 8:37, and I go in, and I had this all on tape, except for that guy got me so befuddled, you know. And look, I don't know what the laws are about having a voice recorder around my neck at all times, which is what I do. And all I can tell you is that I don't know the law. I don't know whether it's legal for me to have a voice recorder around my neck at all times. I don't know. But I have my eyes and my ears and my brain, and they are an audio-video recorder, but they're not very good at playback. All you can do is describe what you saw and heard. I like that thing around my neck so I don't have to argue with people about what somebody said or what I said. I like it around my neck so that if something like an accident happens, or if I'm attacked or something like this guy who threatened me in the store, you know, if I didn't have that recorder around my neck going, I have absolutely no proof that the guy threatened to knock my fucking head off. That was his, I'm pretty sure that was his exact words. And I'll have to dig up that recording because I'm still trying to go after this guy. I mean, he scared me. I mean, I got sick, okay? And I'm not saying he scared me because I was scared to fight him. I mean, I'm scared to fight anybody. I'm worried that I might get hurt. I mean, you never know how you're going to come out of a fight, right? I mean, you have a good day, a bad day, you could end up dead. Nobody wants to have to fight, except for people like him, who at the time wanted to knock my effing head off. And I won't say exactly what he said. I said exactly what he said because, and that's the only other time I've said the F word, because I wanted you to know, I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Anyway, I lost that recording. That's my point. You know, so I'm in there. I'm perfectly nice. I talk to everybody. I like to talk to people when I'm out, you know. I enjoy people, and I enjoy meeting new people and getting to know people and stuff like that. And I talked to a lady in one line, and she didn't know what the hell she was doing. And there was a black lady behind her, and she handled it. And she was extremely helpful, and I was extremely grateful. I told her how I'm so glad you were here, because the other lady didn't know what the hell she was doing. And what that was all about was, well, let me get to the point here on that I'm making, and then maybe I'll mention what I was in there doing. It's not that important, except for that it was bullshit. I didn't even have to go down there, and they shouldn't have sent me a letter saying that I wasn't going to get my benefits, and that was just, and that's obnoxious the way they do that, and they do that every time. Oh, your may result in termination of your benefits, or, you know, whatever. I'm getting to the point where I get so many of those notices that I just about ignore them. So anyway, so my point is I was in there for 35 minutes. I mean, we can go through this thing. So 8:37, 8:50, 8:58, 9:03, 9:06. I'm still in there, and I'm having a good time in there, to be quite honest. I always enjoy the people down there. I mean, every once in a while I get kind of, oh, and here I come. 9:13. So you figure it out. I was down there all that time. There was no bomb threat. Nobody even, they all knew who I was. I mean, I told them when I got to the window, I turned in my paperwork, and I turned in my sheet. that I was down there, and you know, plenty of time for the security people to come and, you know, I don't know if they knew I was there or not. I mean, obviously they knew I was coming. And I don't know what I'm saying there because I can't hear it, but you'll be able to hear it. And yeah, I mean, okay, so sometimes I say things that maybe people don't like or whatever, but God, are you gonna, I mean, if you convict me, you better convict me on me saying that to her. And I'll tell you what, how you could do that after knowing everything that I've just told you, and you know that a lot of what I've told you is just absolute fact, and that those facts fly in the face of any kind of conviction on this matter. And you know, that's my case. There you go, with a lot of extra. I'm into detail, man. You know, I'm into detail. I'm into detail about why I felt the way I felt. I'm into detail about all these things because I think they exonerate me completely. But they're not going to exonerate me with conservatives. Conservatives are not going to like me for my opinions and things like that. But I feel like the opinions have to be there, and that everything. I feel like everything that I've told you, some of it may seem extraneous to you, but I feel like everything that I've told you is related and pertinent, and that I had to say it, that that you have to know it, and you have to know, and you have to kind of decide whether you know, what's fact and what isn't fact, and whether my opinion is of value and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know exactly how argument works. I understand logic and reason, all those kind of things. I mean, I went to college for 10 years, man. You know, I took logic, and I took philosophy, and I even took all kinds of Christianity. I took all kinds of business. I was a journalist major. I was a music major. And the reason I went to college for, I mean, literally because, well, 1979 to 1987. So, not 10 years, but I obviously wasn't very good at math. No, I'm just kidding. So 79 to 87, let's just call it 79 to 87. So that's what? That's like 8 years. But I think I got a semester off. And I don't know. I don't remember every detail of it, but they wouldn't accept my credits when I went to University of St. Thomas, so I ended up getting, and then they did. At the end, they were like, well, gosh, you've got like twice as many credits as you need for a 4.5-year degree. So I have a lot of, and plus I study. I just study all the time. I mean, I've got massive interest. I mean, I've gotten on a kick now learning about I haven't actually gotten started. Well, I have gotten started, but I'm learning about an area of math fascinating to me. I'm looking really forward to it. What's it called? Well, anyway, it's higher math, believe me. Really complicated stuff, but really important stuff, I think. So what I'm saying is that I do have a massive education, and I'm not just talking out my, you know, not just talking. I have a lot of education, self-education mostly for the last 40 years, but I do have it. Okay. I hope you found a way to enjoy this. I wasn't trying to bore anybody. It's of incredible interest to myself, and I'm sorry if some of you but I hope you listen to what I had to say, because I really feel strongly about this. Well, obviously, because I'm going to jail if you guys don't do the right thing. So, of course, I feel strongly. And so, I leave you with, please. Here I am. So please, do the right thing, and don't, I'm going to feel awful, and obviously I'm going to be punished if you convict me of this thing, and who knows what might happen to me. I mean, you might be setting me on a course that, who knows. It can't be good, though, and it can't be good for any of us. It could be bad for all of us if you punish me for something I didn't do. Okay, say even you think that you're punishing me because you think I did do it, that you think I really was talking to that girl. Well, sending me to jail and costing me money I don't have, forcing me into a system that is just completely screwed up, in my opinion. You might want to think about the ramifications of doing that. Now, I understand that, if you look at it from the point of view, well, he's guilty, then in your own point of view, you think you're doing the right thing, and you think that I'm being punished for something that I did. Well, the only thing I can say to you there is, please don't let your emotions about this progressives versus conservatives, and I know how much anger and hatred there is on both sides, right? And both of the sides think they're absolutely right, and absolutely right in doing all kinds of heinous things to each other. I mean, the real violence in this world between conservatives and progressives, hippies and people who wave the flag and, wear religion on their sleeve and all that. I mean, where does that, where do I fit in? And me being punished, and I'm telling you, you're punishing an innocent man if you do. But even if I wasn't innocent, where does my little thing that I said, again, I did not say it to her, I was just talking, but for those of you who are just conservative and you just don't like what I said, and it doesn't have anything to do with, blowing things up and killing people, you're just wanting to punish the progressive guy, the Bernie Sanders guy. For those of you who want to do that, I beg you, please, don't take out your anger on progressives. I mean, I'm one of the people who you need, because I'm one of the ones who is brilliant enough to find a way to bring both of sides together and to get both sides to start dropping the irrational side of their argument with each other, and get back to just everybody having a life, right, and a place, and a community, and fun people, and having fun with people, and enjoying their lives while getting all the work done. And you should love me for that. You should love me for being that kind of person, because that's a lovable thing, huh? You gotta love people like me, who all we're about is trying to find a solution to. You gotta admit, You can't deny the problems. Everybody knows all the problems. You can't deny them, but you deny me the opportunity to find solutions, because you don't. I don't know what it is with people. I mean, they all have to be the people who in charge, right? And you know why? Because the people in charge make the money. I mean, it's always comes down to greed, right? Well, I'll do it for freaking free. I don't care about the money. I'm set, man. I'm set. I mean, with food stamps and I mean, no, I'm not rich, but I'm not worried at all. I love my life. You know, I don't need a fancy car, fancy house, a little room and a pond to jog around and people to talk to, and I don't need any more. I'm not one of these people. I mean, I don't know how conservatives program people into feeling so strongly that they have to try and get rich. What's wrong with just being alive? And why is that? Why have we convinced people that it's not enough just to sit and look at the ducks and the wind on the water and hear the trees rustling and the birds tweeting and flying around? I mean, that and this, being able to be political and work for my community in that way, in a way that I enjoy, which I don't think is that hard to do for people. That's everything to me. I don't need anything more. Die a happy man, and in this case, if I have to, go to jail a happy man, because I don't hate my life, and it just makes me sad to look around and see so many people who, you know, no matter how good their life is, they've somehow got it in their head, and I know how they got it in their head, but I'm not going to get into that, and I think everybody knows, that they just, you know, they're like, and I love my mother, but she's the first one who'll tell you, she is never satisfied. Well, that really ruins your life. You know, be satisfied. Be happy. I'm not saying that you should be satisfied when you see bad things happening and you need to take action. But I'm saying with your life, you know, if you're angry about the way things are going and you get up and you try and do everything you can to help, that should make you happy. That's what I do. It makes me happy to try and help people be happy. Alright, I'm done.